You don't need a developer. You don't need Excel skills. If you can describe what you want, Claude will build it for you. Today, I'm showing you how to use artifacts to make dashboards and documents for your business and how this fits into building your AI employee. Let's take a look at artifacts in Claude. You'll see I'm here in the Anthropic Academy looking at the first course about Claude, and creating with artifacts is right here. This is a great resource to get you started. If you're just starting, it's here, it's free, and it gives you the most information you're going to get about these functionalities. So what are artifacts? Standalone, interactive outputs that Claude creates in a dedicated window alongside your conversation. So you're basically able to visualize your conversation by seeing a dashboard, a PDF, a PowerPoint, HTML. It could be just a URL on the browser, and it's something that you can share with other people, like a client offer that you create in your browser, and you can share it with a client by just sending the URL. It's pretty complex content, so that's why analysis, dashboards, PowerPoints, PDFs are perfect. And for me, the most common use is really the documents, creating anything that's text heavy in a way that looks good. I've done HTML pages, like I said, that you actually create landing pages to test, forms, interactive demos, and quick prototypes. Like if you're creating an app, you can create the first page or the first flow of the app with artifacts. And the other thing that I would use that I haven't used yet is flowcharts, diagrams, Gantt charts, and so on. For me, you can create analysis dashboards. So let's take a look at how we want to do that. I'm going to show you 3 things I've created with artifacts, and we're going to start with creating a dashboard. I just recently ran. So for us to use this, ideally, you can use it in the Claude Online app. You can create artifacts here. And I prefer to use a desktop app now because all of my Claude Cowork code is there and it's easy to switch between them. But you can set up artifacts right here in the Claude chat. Ideally, you have a paid plan because this does take up memory. So I think on the free plan, you're not going to get very far. You should have at least the $20 a month plan. I'm on the 5X because I use it every day. All right, so let's go to artifacts. I'm going to create a new one. These are old ones, like, I've had a policy created here. These are different templates of artifacts I've created. None of these are really like artifacts I wanted to keep, but Claude kept them for me. So let's make a new one. So here you have the options: productivity tools, games, documents, creative projects, quiz or surveys, start from scratch, apps and websites. I'm going to pick apps and websites because I want to create a dashboard. So if you have Whisperflow installed, you can start recording with your voice. If you don't have the voice recorder, so voice to speech installed, you can just download Whisperflow. I'm going to load here 2 files, one from my recent Facebook ads, the last week of results, and then I'm going to also load my Google Analytics report in the last week, and I want you to analyze both of them and to create a URL dashboard that I can add to over time and compare different campaigns. This is one is going to be called the June 3rd webinar campaign. So I downloaded those meta results and the Google Analytics. I'm going to add them here and let's see what it does. It could ask me questions. Ideally, it should. Right now, it's reading files. And the exact same thing can be done so it's reading the files. That's why it looks like this. This is not the artifact. It's just reading. How do you want to compare campaigns over time? A drop down, side-by-side columns. Okay, I can get all 3 because this is live. So it's okay. It's an interactive artifact. Subscribers, but it doesn't matter. Let's see what it does. I can always change it after. Okay, it has some questions about the report I put in. So I'm just going to come here. I think it was this report, last 7 days. I'm going to take a screenshot of the page and then I'm going to feed it the screenshot. That's one other way you can do it. Okay, it asked me questions. I gave it responses. Now it's actually building the dashboard. Right now, it's all in HTML, so don't worry about it. It's going to translate eventually to an actual URL we can all see and understand. Okay, so this didn't even take 5 minutes. 60 subscribers in a week. Ad spend $384. Cost per subscriber $640. Reach, landing page views, registration rate, active users. Now, it looked at my ad breakdown, the different videos. The direct traffic is pretty good. I would say I did do a speaking engagement on the 22nd of May, which I think drove a lot of this. Top cities. and then new versus returning users. So I can save this campaign snapshot. I will do that. This is a great start. I would love to have some red card background colors, depending on if I'm doing well compared to the average performance for, let's say, cost per subscriber in my field, reach, registration rate, landing page views, active users. Anything that is relative, so maybe not reach or landing page views, but anything that's a rate, I would like that to have some kind of comparison, and we should have some insights, an insight section where you analyze the performance over the last week based on what you've gotten as information. So now I asked it to go deeper, to give me some comparisons for the relative rates like cost per subscriber, registration rate. I also wanted it to give me some insights. So now it's updating with those changes. And we're almost done. Wow, I love this. So now I asked it to basically, so I know if I'm doing well or not. It's great to see numbers, but what am I doing with those numbers? And then I asked it for insights. It told me that I'm doing better than the average in most of these categories. So I can even bring in my newsletter subscriber performance here. So I can go to MailerLite, pull my newsletter stats and add them in here and ask them to layer it. And basically, I can make this into a living, ongoing ad artifact campaign performance situation, campaign performance tracker. So I love this. I'm definitely going to continue adding to it. Now, let's make this, let's see how we can use it. So let's take a look here before. Let's publish it because I want it to be a URL that's living. And now I have a link. If I put it here, it's live. Yeah, this is great. So I'm going to keep adding to it. That's one way of using it. So you can do this with any files. You can use screenshots. That's why it's better to just use the desktop, because there you can actually just create a project. Ideally, that's what you would do in this case. You would create a project first, and you can do it here too. You can go in here, create projects, but ideally, you would do it from the desktop app and you would come projects, new project, create project. So let's take a look at a different application. We all get on calls with clients when we're running our business, and we can actually, now that we transcribe calls, if you transcribe your calls, you can actually use those transcripts to create, through an artifact, a client proposal offer page, depending what the client is, what the proposals are, the discussion. So I tested this. I asked Claude to grab a specific recording from Google Drive. Google Drive, Claude will search then the drive, identifies the correct file because I have actually connected Claude to my drive. It extracts pricing and dates, saves the proposal to Notion, and drafts a follow-up email in Gmail. Because everything is connected, and this is why you should have the paid minimum $20 plan and use the desktop app, you can actually connect your apps. And by doing that, you don't have to provide it files or anything. It's going to go look for the files for you to create an offer stack for me. So let's take a look at what it did, because it's basically writing a proposal for a client. Let's just say, hey, I want to write an offer for a few clients. Why don't you go pull transcripts from 3-4 client calls or potential client calls, prospect calls, and draft up an offer that I can actually share across these different clients. That could be exactly what you do for your case. I got Claude to go through my Google Drive and it came up with these different offers. And then it said, hey, like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, you know what? I want you to create an artifact with the 3 offers proposal. Who's the client? Who am I? And I was like, no, I don't like this. So in the end, this is what it gave me. So it asked me for my brand colors. I provided the screenshot and here we go. This is the actual URL. So it created with my very basic branding. I could have provided it, my picture and so on, different programs for a client. I could have put the client name, the client goals, all of that. Empires, full price, payment plan, format, HD clarity coaching. And then I don't know why it's using Colombian pesos here, but anyway, I spent time in Colombia, so that's why it's sometimes you can see confused, I don't know why it's decided this, but so this is one that I think is a no-brainer. So you see how easy it is to do this as well. That's great. Now the last one I want to show you is a quick one. I recently I wanted to audit my own business, so that's what I did. I asked Claude to do an audit of my business based on SEO, off my offers, my price, my marketing strategy. I gave it my website and my offer link so it knows this is my website. It crawled it. It figured out, my social media as well. I gave it my social media. And with all of that, it basically gave me a PowerPoint of the audit. So it did the analysis, it audited my website, my social media, my offer, and it gave me this full business audit. And you see here, this is the result. You click on it, the artifact opens. You can see it in the folder in this case, since it's a PowerPoint. This is how it came from Claude. I didn't change anything. It evaluated me, recommendations, gaps, competitive positioning, which I hadn't even looked at. So you see, really well made out business audit, and it took maybe 20 minutes to do this when I ran it. Again, this is an artifact that I can keep updating. So what I said afterwards is, hey, I like this. Why don't I do this every month? So I got it to schedule a task for a business audit, and you're running a quarterly business audit. The next one is going to be July 1st because it's every quarter, and it says, okay, what to audit. It gives it all the instructions on 9 a.m. July 1st. This gave me so many insights and things that I hadn't even realized, and it's something we should be doing regularly. So you can see how quickly and easily you can be creating artifacts. You can also share them within your organization. If you have team and enterprise users, can share artifacts internally with colleagues. So that means they stay within the company and you're not duplicating things for no reason. You can publish, even the free plan, you can publish publicly with the link. No one can actually go into your chat. And the more specific you are, the better. Honestly, I would even give it screenshots. If there's a tracker you like or a dashboard style you like, give it a screenshot, and it's going to make a huge difference between getting what you want and what you don't want. Give it your brand colors, put that in your settings. This is why it's important to do your settings properly and make sure that there are instructions